Aweh, welkom terug hier met mij, Sean Diano. Vandaag gesels ons met Muneeb Gambino. Hij is de directeur van de Kaapse Klopse Carnival Association. En ons gesels samen met de chairman of the board, of course, Mr. Claude Jonas. Aweh, mannen, welkom hier bij de Aweh Show. Hoe gaat het vandaag? Lovely. Thank you, man. Thank you that you're here. Muneeb. Now, my first question is for you. The Kaapse Klopse Carnival Association basically has been around for years. I remember it growing up as a kid. My question to you is, where did it all start? Waar het alles begon?
Look, carnival has a long history, but let's take a step back to the advent of Klopse in itself.
Yes, sir.
I think we all understand that in the very early days of the Cape Colony, our people had to find some sort of way of expressing their cultural identity and so forth, and it was really a creolization process of people coming from all over, from East Africa, from the Indian subcontinent, from places like Indonesia, the Southeast Asian archipelago, those areas, and they were generally enslaved. You know, some of those leaders were transplanted as part of the colonial agenda, but we were here as slaves. And now you have a society with all of these imported cultural dynamics, you know, different musical genres, different types of dance movements and so forth. And this then evolves into an expression that is really, in the first instance, what we see almost in the Malay choirs, you know, these Guma beat songs, Daar Kom Jy Alabama, that came about later, but that kind of vibe, you know. Songs like Boomstraat, these picnic songs. When you fast forward to the late 1800s, you find these minstrel troops coming from the United States, the blackface, white and blackface, satin donned outfits like you wearing. Not quite like that, that's sublimated, but you know, that kind of vibe. But they come here and they perform what is popular music at the time, and that music is really racialized music. You know, it's from the south of the states. They're making fun of black people who work on the cotton farms and so forth. But because it's popular music and it has fantastic vibes to it, our people kind of adopt it, right? And they adopt the style of costumes, and they start formalizing their Klopse or clubs into sort of clubs now who start almost competing against each other, but in an informal way.
Yeah, for me it was information as well, because I didn't know some of the things that you mentioned, and that is deep. Can you tell us roughly, like, what is the planning that goes into Nuwe Jaar, the event? Can you tell us what is the planning that goes into that? Because it's massive.
Yeah, look, this is officially the biggest cultural festival on the African continent. Wow. We say that because we've sort of studied other carnivals on the continent, and analogous carnivals, Creole carnivals in other parts of the world, the Notting Hill Carnival, the Brazilian Carnival in Rio and so forth. But in Africa, this is the biggest one. And with it being the biggest one, and us understanding what goes into events, you can very well imagine that planning and compliance is a big thing. From a safety perspective, from a resource perspective.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that, Mr. Gambino. Now my next question is for you, Mr. Claude Jonas. So you are obviously the chairman and you form part of the Baruch Entertainers. Correct. Can you tell us what is the planning and preparation that goes into preparing for a troupe?
Well, for any particular year, I think preparation starts 8 months. I'd say it's about 8 months to end of the year that we get seriously involved in the planning side of things. There's a lot that goes with it. And it's not a culture that is practiced only in December and January. So with the musical aspect that comes with it, you know, also the uniforms that have to be made, all the creativity around it. When planning for every new season, because every new year or season is different, you know, there's different colors to think of, different designs. Where your uniform is concerned, that's the pride of your troupe, especially when going into competition with everyone else. But there's immense work that goes into it, and it's enjoyable because it's our culture. So we're practicing that cultural aspect throughout the year. You know, carnival competition stops in around about February, and there's a 2-month break, I would say 3 months at the most, and then we start out again. But even in those quiet times, there's planning that takes place. So a lot of thinking, a lot of pre-planning, etc., goes into every single year.
Wow, I can imagine that. And I just want to touch on something that you mentioned. You mentioned the outfits. And that for me, obviously you can see I'm swagging it today.
Sure.
And one of my biggest questions is, like, I always see these colorful outfits. Like, what is the preparation that goes into that, and how do you guys decide on the uniforms, and who makes those outfits? I want to know.
Yes, the uniform forms part probably it's the most important, I would say one of the most important aspects of the culture.
Yeah.
Because that creates the visual impact for that everybody wants to come and see the beauty of it, the culture of Cape Town, the colorfulness. You know, it's happy colors, it's joyful colors, etc.
Yeah.
So a lot of planning goes into that, because every year, like I said, is different. It's a competition. You actually get adjudicated for your designs and your colors, etc., and how you lay out your troop. And then at the same time, I think what is important to understand is that we create jobs and opportunity for local seamstresses.
Wow.
Designers, etc., to be a part of it, and it comes from way back, like Muneeb explained, over the years, where importantly those skillful and talented individuals were part of actually creating what we have today.
Wow.
So there's a massive aspect around the uniforms. It's the pride of the troop, etc., and it's our local people actually that gets an opportunity, and the forefathers and legendary people who did that before, their children or children's children are carrying on that type of tradition.
That legacy,
So very important aspect, and creating, I think, importantly, an opportunity for our people to not only showcase their talent, but also creating an opportunity for them to be earning extra income of manufacturing and making the uniforms and the designs there.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Now, I have another question. I want to know the competition exactly, because it's very competitive. Like, it's tough. I always see that massive bands, massive groups. And my question to you is basically, when it comes to the competition, what do the judges look for exactly?
Look, the competition has evolved immensely over the years. And like Muneeb mentioned, it's creating a platform. Not just to nurture talent, but to showcase it as well. And the adjudicators come out and they look for that. They have a set criteria that are presented to them and discussed during the year as to what aspects they will be adjudicating for. And like you say, it's very competitive. There are very talented individuals outside and around the Cape Flats.
Thank you so much. Now, my last question is to you, Mr. Gambino. And I just want to know, like, the Klopse has obviously done so much already over the years. There's still obviously more years ahead, and I would like to know, can you tell me what is the future of the Klopse going forward? What can we still expect?
I'm not sure whether I can predict the future. I wish I could. Our big objective, of course, is not only to propagate the culture, but to drive this carnival into a space where it's absolutely sustainable and self-sustainable and sustained into the next decade, so that those who then take the mantle from us hopefully can then drive it for the next few decades, and so on and so forth. Hopefully we still live long enough to ensure that we hit that stage of sustainability, because at the moment it is not sustainable. We've had a growth trajectory that's not in sync with what the carnival has represented over the last, maybe not the last 8 years or so, but surely prior to that. There were all these negative connotations to it. And when there's negative connotations to an activity, then unfortunately the people, no matter how good the intentions are, they suffer, and the culture suffers and so forth. Now we're in a good space, because finally we could demonstrate to people that we are able to not only organize this thing properly, we run it properly, we're sincere about our efforts, we don't do it as a business. This is a complete labor of love for us, complete. And we have like-minded people who are prepared to walk the path in order to hit those spots. We also have good stakeholders, of course. The stakeholders have come and said, you know what, we're backing you. And there's no better soundbite that you want from stakeholders than that. We're backing you and we're prepared to walk this journey with you because we believe in the vision that you have.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Now, of course, as you know, Jessica and Martian is with us in studio as well, and they're going to be sitting with Mr. Noor Abrams to chat to him. And yeah, you guys will basically see us after the break. So thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you for the informative information. Appreciate it. All right. Let's go over to them. Cool.